Welcome to Easy 3 Sport Production. I'm your host, Suttles, and today it's player profile time. It's draft time. We're going to be talking about Ja'Marr Chase. Is he going to drop to 11 to us? Let's see. Let's get it. Ja'Marr Chase, 6 foot, 208-pound wide receiver out of LSU. Ja'Marr Chase. Now, honestly, he is my favorite prospect for this Giants team because I can see that he can get onto the field and make an immediate impact to help Danny get a wide receiver that can create separation, that is a very physical guy, and he can just bring an aura to this wide receiving core that we really need to help Danny out to really evaluate, is Daniel Jones the guy or isn't he the guy? But Ja'Marr Chase, he played 10 games as a true freshman, only had 384 yards. But in his sophomore year, that's when he exploded. And he had one of the greatest college seasons a wideout can have. He ended up with 84 receptions for 1,780 yards and 20 touchdowns on route to a national championship on that extremely talented LSU team. Now, out of all the receivers that was drafted from that team, he was the guy who was the alpha. He was the guy that everybody was saying is going to be great. And we've already seen a dose of those LSU wide receivers in the league, and you see how they're killing it. And they projected that Ja'Marr Chase will be better. Now, he opted out for the 2020 season because of COVID, so we didn't get to see him this season. He was just strictly training for the draft. But this is the prospect that I want. I really, really want. Please, I want Ja'Marr Chase because he's just that kind of built. He is that kind of guy that I can see fit in with the New York Giants, and especially Joe Judge and the way that he is bringing this team to be. So let's look at Chase's strengths. 1, he is a physical wide receiver. His strength, he just opposes his strength over all the opposition. He has an alpha mentality. That guy, he's like, when I am on the field, I am the guy. I'm not going to be behind somebody else. I want to work hard. I want to be the guy that's going to get us to that next level. He has that tough mentality. He has that tough inner that Joe Judge type mentality. That's the kind of wide receiver that he is. He fights for everything. He fights for every yard. He fights for every catch. And he is an aggressive catcher. He catches it with his hands and he high points the ball. And that is something that I love that receivers do. Don't let the ball come to you. You go ahead and you get the ball. But especially if he's a high point catcher, that's what Danny likes to throw. He loves to throw it deep, and he loves to give his wide receivers an opportunity to catch the ball. And as we've seen with Golden Tate, always ends up catching it in being contested. I don't know how. Danny puts it on the mark, and Golden Tate somehow always comes up with it. And if we can get a guy, which Ja'Marr Chase has proven that he is, kind of like that high points the ball, is very aggressive catching, then he will fit perfectly with Danny. Now, for the weak points, Chase is not the quickest receiver. But in this league, we have seen that you don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the quickest. You just have to understand what your routes are, and you have to go from there. So the quickness doesn't really hinder too much for me because he's not that small of a guy. I don't need him blazing speed, running past guys. I need him to be able to run his routes and be able to catch the ball. Point blank, period. Now, another weakness is his blocking. Now, he is a physical guy, but I would like to see more effort when it comes to blocking because he can oppose his will on the cornerbacks at any moment. I want to see him put more effort towards his blocking. Now, mind you, this is all before the Combine, so I don't know how he's going to test out and whatnot, but for now, this is my favorite guy. Now, another kind of weak point is that he relies on his strength to get open. Now, that's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because if you only rely on your strength, it's going to be a problem once you get to the league, because you're going to go up against guys that are kind of stronger and that knows how to place themselves in the correct position. So it's not always about strength, but it is a good thing to create separation with your strength, because we see how Julio Jones, we see how D-Hop really does this. And the other weak point would be he's not the greatest route runner. He can run crisper routes. He's not bad, but he's not extremely well. But this goes into his kind of play, that tough play. He's not going to be the best route runner. He's not going to be the quickest, but he's going to make sure that you feel his strength. He's going to make sure that if you throw up a 50-50 ball, he's going to come down with it. And when it comes to yards after the catch, he is fast enough to get away from the defense. Now, the player comparison that I see is DeAndre Hopkins. These are the same kinds of things that they were saying that DeAndre Hopkins was coming out of Clemson, where he wasn't a crisp route runner. He relied on his strength. He's very wiry. But as we can see, D-Hop is a top wide receiver in the league. And he doesn't run the fastest. He's not the quickest. He's not the best route runner. But he just gets open. And when you throw that ball to him, he makes sure he's going to be the one to come down with it. But that is my player comparison with this guy, Ja'Marr Chase. As I say, he is my favorite prospect, and I feel like he will drop to 11 because there are a lot of hype over Deontay Smith after he just won the Heisman and how he performed at the national championship. It's always recent bias. And at the end of the day, we have the number 11 pick. There are not a lot of teams that are ahead of us that will be looking for wide receivers. And if somebody out there can really tell me the last time that 3 wide receivers was drafted in the top 10, I would like to see that draft class, but I can't really remember it. And I really don't believe that teams are going to draft Ja'Marr Chase before we get up. I mean, it was just like last year. Everybody was hyping up CeeDee Lamb. They was hyping up Jerry Jeudy. And guess what? Henry Ruggs was the first wide receiver off the board. And then CeeDee Lamb dropped all the way down to the Cowboys. So we don't know what's going to actually happen in the draft. But for me, I truly do believe that Ja'Marr Chase will be there at 11 for us. And we can go ahead and get him. And let's get this thing started. And this has been a Subtle's Take for Easy 3 Sport Production. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also share the video. Sharing is caring. Help the channel grow. Until next time, I'm out.